On a mission to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. This is the YWCA Hour with your hosts, YWCA Executive Director Karen Bell Dancy and YWCA Associate Director Maisha Essex. Welcome in to the YWCA Hour.
All right. Hi. Welcome back to the W with
Hi, everybody.
Yes, with Karen Bell Dancy and Maisha Essex. We are really happy to come back to you all to kind of continue on the conversation from the last podcast,
Right.
which is about, engaging with your community. And so today we're going to be looking at the 10 civic commitments by Kevin Frazier, right, Karen?
That's correct. Yes. And the reason why we bring this back, we did talk about this a little bit last year, is because being involved and engaged in the community, it takes work. And we do this because we want to have a happy, healthy life for ourselves and our families. But we know that everyone else in the community, they want to experience the same. And when we all do that, and when we reach out and we learn about our neighbors, we help our neighbors, that just makes for a more healthier community.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, we have the 10 civic commitments. And the reason why this is so important is we want to have a healthy democracy. And often we talk about it on our show about what it takes to have a really healthy democracy. A healthy democracy requires civic morality. Absent a set of virtues, principles, and norms, our constitutional order falls apart. And this idea says it falls apart like an IKEA bed. Now, we did not say that, but that's the example that he used. That says that something vital is missing. It could be some of the screws. It could be other parts of the material. But when you have some real vital missing links, then you don't have a solid foundation. And this is what's likened to what it takes to have a healthy democracy and thus a healthy community. We must develop and adhere to a new civic code. This code should minimally instill within every American at least 10 commitments. And we want to share with you what these commitments are.
Yes, this is a resource that we do just share with different trainings and people who are wanting to understand how to get involved and engaged. This is already out here. Like we said, this is based on Kevin Frazier and his work. So it's not something that we're bringing to you. It's just something that's already there that we think is a good resource and a good guide for engaging civically.
It is. It is a great guide. So starting with number one. Number one is participate. Being a good citizen goes above and beyond voting. We can and should aspire to participate in a broader sense, taking advantage of opportunities to shape democratic action at the local, state, and federal level.
And this is something that we've just been talking about all year, right?
Right.
Like that. How are we participating? How are you engaging? What level would you like to engage at? Again, we went over it last podcast about engaging locally in some of the issues that's impacting your neighbors. And so we've been talking about this all year, and we've had the chance to make impact and change locally.
Yes.
And so we want to encourage you to continue to do that. And as you look into the next year and then in the new year of 2026, looking at, well, what's the next level for you?
Right.
And what did you set this year? What did you decide to do this year? Did you decide to go to a public hearing this year? And maybe next year, you know what, I'm going to testify. Or as we talked about, I'm going to meet with the senator. Or you know what, I just paid attention more. I did a little bit more research this year about issues that are impacting the community and my neighbors that I really didn't know about and did not understand. So I just decided to listen more.
Right.
So at whatever level that you decided to come into, we hope that in 2026, you just pick out another goal for you to become more civically engaged and to participate at one of the levels.
Right. Yeah. Good one. Okay. So Number two, um, learn. The more you learn about your community and your neighbors, the more impactful your participation will be.
Yes. It's really, it speaks for itself because it's really hard for you to come in. And we've seen this where people have not done the proper research,
Yes.
where they are not actually talking to the community members that are being impacted by something happening.
Right.
And then, but they want to speak on behalf and not
Right.
really understand. So
Yes.
in order to make a good impact, you need to make sure that you understand what's actually happening.
Yes.
And so to learn, to listen, to do some research is extremely important on some of these issues.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we just, again, encourage you to continue to learn and to continue to listen.
Yeah, and it's real simple. It could be just starting with, do you know your mayor's name? Do you know who your school board representative is for your neighborhood? Do you know who your state senator is? Do you know who the governor is? Some of those things that we just think it doesn't really affect us because it's just not part of our daily lives, but it really is impactful.
And learning,
What do they stand for?
yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And learning helps you go beyond the headlines, the what, into the why.
Right.
Because we all grab headlines and we can all kind of spur out just what we've saw, what we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go deeper into your learning, into understanding, then you can go deeper into the why, and you'll understand the importance behind making the change and the need
Yes.
for it, and not just grabbing a headline, which we see a lot of people do.
Right.
That's why you have like
Yes.
buzzwords and things of
Yeah.
that nature, where somebody hears a certain word, like they
Mhm.
hear DEI, and it's a buzzword for them because they
Right.
haven't gone beyond the headlines to
Yeah.
actually understand and learn what that even means. We've seen like little clips where they asked, what is DEI?
Right.
And they couldn't even tell you what the acronym stands for. But they could tell
I
you
know.
they don't want it, right? So
I know it's not good.
right, exactly. So there was no learning. There was actually, no education
Right.
behind it to understand it.
Yes.
So even if they were fighting against it, to understand the why of if you don't
Yes.
believe it and why you
Right.
actually don't.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem with, again, the headlines and some of the buzzwords is that people
Yes.
just grab onto things without actually doing any kind of research. And so you do your research. So when people ask you questions, you can understand the why, not just the what.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. 3. Now this is one that we often talk about on our show. Give. The greater your stake in the community, the more inclined you'll be to participate and learn. If you have time, volunteer. If you have money, donate. If you have both, do both. If you have neither, you can still give your undivided attention, trading time scrolling Instagram for time out seeking the local news.
That is great. Time, talent, treasure. We say that a lot
Exactly.
here of the ways that you can give. We talk about the different ways that you can participate and you
Mhm.
can engage, that some as monetary,
Right.
and a lot of nonprofits, a lot of organizations out there, they are in need of the monetary given. But we also talk about your time.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier on the first point about just becoming more aware, I paid attention more.
Right.
So that point about, instead of scrolling on Instagram, looking at the news,
Yeah.
doing some more research into some issues, that's you giving your time. So that you can become more aware of what's happening, so that you can better impact and affect change. Your treasure, you may not be able to give monetary because,
Right.
hey, maybe you work at another nonprofit as well.
Exactly.
And you said, I too. But what I can give is my talent. There are some things that I know how to do, and I can give that. I know a little bit about web design, so I can do that.
Right.
I know a little bit about data management. Maybe I can go and help, or just other things that you can give as well. And trust me that all these organizations, they are wanting your participation, right? Because it's for the community. And so it's best when the community comes together to help deliver these resources, so that the people who are receiving the resources, they can see that we're behind you.
Right.
We support you. We understand the need. We understand how it's impacting you. And here we are showing up as your community.
Yes. And a very good example, Maisha, I want to give a shout out to one of our board members, Sue Blackwell. She probably will just be livid that I've even mentioned this, but she is retired. She's on our board, which that speaks a lot to itself at volunteering all those hours as an engaged board member. But she comes in every week and she spends time in our office helping us with our financial work.
Mhm.
And that is something that's huge for us because right now we don't have a full time financial officer, but her doing that kind of work helps you and I as administrators of the organization. That type of giving, in addition to her monetary gifts and serving on the board, that means so much.
Mhm.
And that time is valued. A lot of people don't understand that when you just reach out and you're helping a nonprofit organization, that time actually has a financial value to it. It's an asset. And when nonprofits are going out, when we're trying to get new funders and filling out grant applications, we're often asked, how many hours do your board members spend? So just think about that level of giving. If the level of giving that you would want to do monetarily, that can't be had for you right now. All of these things that Maisha and I are talking about, that has value just as much.
It really does. And you just brought up a good point of how else you can engage by being
Yeah,
on a board or a committee of an
exactly.
organization that you align with. You don't have to necessarily be on the board, but a lot of organizations do allow non board members to
Right,
form committees, right? To
right.
be a part of committees. And
Yep.
so just reach out. That could be
Mhm.
something that you do in the new year. Think about
Yes.
an issue that connects to you and look and see if there's something happening in this community that's addressing that, and
Hmm.
then just reach out, just go to a meeting, say, hey, I want to learn a little bit more
Right.
about what you're doing, and
Yes.
you can start there, and then you can figure out, is there a way that I can plug in and how.
Yes. Exactly. That leads us to number four, join. The United States has long enjoyed a reputation as a nation of joiners. Increasingly, it seems we'd be better characterized as a nation of loners. That's a problem. As mentioned above, the more ties you have in your community, the easier it will be to satisfy the prior commitments. So find a group, a club, or other gathering that's made up of folks in your local community and join.
We understand and we know the power of when you get together,
Yes.
right? And how that
Yes.
amplifies your voice
Hmm.
when people are connected and come together on an issue.
Right.
And so you're probably not alone in how you feel about something,
Yes.
and connecting with others who feel the exact same
Hmm.
to uplift the issue. And like I said, to amplify the voice
Hmm.
to make change. It's only better to do it that way. It's only
Yes.
best, right?
Yeah.
You definitely alone, you can make impact and you can make change. Yes, you can.
Right.
But connecting with others, um, you'll see it kind of work a little bit differently when you decide to join a group or
Right.
to join an organization.
Right.
There's power in that. There's
It
comfort in that. There's
definitely.
support in that. And there's weight behind a group coming
That's
and
right.
saying
Yes.
that this is how we feel.
Mhm.
It's not just one person impacted by this. There are a lot of people that are
Right.
impacted. That's why it's great when you go and you testify, right? When there's a
Yes.
public hearing or there's a
Right.
bill that's up for debate. It's powerful when you see so many people come in and
Right.
say, we have an opinion on this. And
Yes.
it's a lot of us that have an opinion on this.
Mhm.
And you need to hear, it needs to be respected,
Yes.
this opinion and what we have to say, or at least heard. And so, joining and connecting with community
Mhm.
is the best way to make
Mhm.
change.
Yeah. And as this suggests, that we are a country, a lot of loners. And I think that's a lot about what we've been going through the last few years, especially, during the pandemic. It created a lot of isolation. And we get people that now are kind of slowly wanting to come back out and be more social, and this is a way. Find things that may be coming on the next ballot that you have interest in. You can join in with those groups, and that's how you're learning more and you're able to form more of an opinion and you're able to be more involved.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's go to number 5, trust. Our public, private, and non-private institutions are losing their ability to effectively solve problems due to the lack of trust among the public at large. In some cases, such skepticism is merited. That said, a democracy defined by distrust has an expiration date. A commitment to trust means avoiding speculative and suspicious thinking. What do you think?
Yeah. I understand it. If you're always but as it said, there are there are many reasons why trust is a little bit eroded when it comes to
right. Yes.
when it comes to our us being civically engaged or civic minded, because I mean it is, and it's something that needs to be worked on, not just from the I'm not going to go down the conspiracy theory
Right.
hole,
Yeah.
but it's also from the other end. It's eroded because a lot of times promises are not met or are not
Right.
kept.
Yes.
You might connect with someone and help them get in office, and then there's something totally different.
Exactly.
No one's really reaching out and connecting with you and trying to figure out how is this impacting you, and what you think should happen. What are your suggestions and your inputs? Because if you're the one experiencing it, you should be the one that's
Right.
talking about how do we solve it, and what you need in order for it to be rectified, and so that you do lose trust, you lose it. And so I understand the mistrust piece,
Right.
and I also understand just there is a healthy dose of it to
Right.
question. Like
Yeah.
there's definitely a healthy dose to question what's going on and what's being served to you. But it needs to be something that's worked on, again, not just from how am I going to be civically engaged by having a certain level of trust, because you do, right?
Right.
When I vote someone in office, that is a certain level of trust, and I
Yeah.
voted them in office based on their word,
Yeah. Right.
and based on what they said they want to do and how they can impact and make change, and how they'll be the voice for me in certain areas, and it'll be reflective. I mean,
Right.
that is trust. Like we
Yes.
put that out there, and I get that.
That's why you got my vote.
That's why you got my vote,
Yeah.
because I trusted you.
Right.
But on the other end, it's really hard when the relationship, when that's not really reciprocated, right?
Yes.
And a lot of times it's because like I said, promises, lies, right? This is not what I thought you were doing.
Right.
Starts happening,
Yes.
then you do lose, you lose trust. But again, you do have to have some form of trust to even go out there and vote, to say like I trust in the system, that it will work as it should. And
As it should.
as we should, and we all do, right? Because we all promote, or we do here promote, being civically engaged by voting. That is a level of trust that the system will produce something. But we also know that sometimes when you engage in it, it doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't, and that does cause a mistrust.
Right.
And so I get it. So this
Yeah.
one, while I understand it, I can understand how this one to me would be really hard to have.
Yeah. And I like the point that he brought up about, when mistrust happens, how that domino effect occurs. And he said how it affects these nonprofits. We're a great example of that. When policy comes into play, we had so many people that, trusted in certain candidates that said what they would do and how they would support the people and protect the people's interests. And then when it did go differently, as Maisa suggested, now folks have a lot of distrust, but it affects us because we're the ones that receive these monies, and then we're supposed to use the money to impact the community. And so I do understand that, but I really hope that trust begins with the individual.
Mhm.
And it goes back for me, trust goes along with, I think it was number 2, learn. So when you put the learning and you really put a lot of your energy into the learning and educating and really understanding, then you can build on that trust.
You can, and you can also, to the point of the individual, you
Mhm.
can figure out who is worth trusting and sources
True.
that are worth trusting
Yeah.
when you engage and when you learn
Mhm.
and you do your research. You'll find who is actually trustworthy,
Yes.
and so
True.
it's just you just have to engage a little bit more. We know that we tell people, be careful of where you're receiving your information. Is it a
Right.
trustworthy source?
Yes.
And so you just have to do your research. That's the same thing with people, right?
Yes.
You'll lend your trust more when you know someone a little bit better. And so
Right.
when you know your candidate a little bit better,
Mhm.
and then also you can trust them based on their track record, right? So you can go back and
True.
say, well, they're saying
Yes.
this, and but their track record actually says that they are supporting what they're saying,
Right.
or it does not, and that can help us with this issue of
Mhm.
trust, because if your track record is saying something different than what you're saying, I don't know if
Mhm.
I can place my trust in that, and
Right.
so I'm going to go ahead and look somewhere else, which I
Mhm.
believe is also a healthy. You're
Good
doing a
point.
great research.
Okay. Number 6, wait. The Constitution outlines intentionality and efficient process. Deliberation takes time. Of course, such patience isn't justified if people or parties are intentionally delaying democratic processes. That's a deep one. Why should we wait?
Well, I we see this play out with like the legal process. Really, if something is happening and you want fast impact and change,
Right.
you have to wait if you do not understand the process for how maybe a bill is enacted or put into
Right.
place. And then also, we know that a lot of times our society is more reactionary than preventative,
Mm-hmm.
and then that requires a lot of waiting as well.
Right.
We wait until something happens before we
Mm-hmm.
create any laws about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really preventative, it's reactionary. And so that does require a space of, I have to wait. Like, I just can't go out there and say, this is what happened, this is a bad thing, now change it. There is a whole process that comes into play in order for something to change. And at times it's for the good. And at times we
Right.
can see where there are holes and there needs to be improvement,
Mm-hmm.
because it's actually delaying on the basis of maybe a rule or something that just doesn't even apply anymore. It's not really applicable.
Exactly.
It never really was. And then also it places systems over people,
Right.
and reacting to
Good
make it,
point.
and so
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we do see it play out well, that waiting in that process. But like I said, other times we can see where there are holes and there are changes that need to be made in order to ensure that we are actually serving and connecting with the people, and we're not just uplifting processes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we see this play out so often, especially at the federal level, when critical votes need to be taken. And we see different congressional leaders, they hold out, and the other side, whichever side it is, they're trying to lobby them for their vote and then to sway them on their side. In the meantime, those that are truly affected by this delay are those that are just the common American citizen. And we have no recourse, but we have to wait and see how that plays out. I think another example of that is that when we have states that have the ability to distribute resources to the citizens of their individual state, and they're waiting to see what another state does, and yet they know the gaps and the needs are of their individual state. We just saw that not too long ago when it came to the SNAP benefits. And so we have to make sure that, we're keeping a watchful eye out, because we never know when this affects us as well as them. And I think this is a prime example of what's been happening lately when it comes to this.
It is, and I know this. He's saying wait, as in this is one thing that we have to do, and we have
Mm-hmm.
to understand, because there are processes, and so
Yeah,
I
constitutional
yes.
processes.
So you do have
Oh,
to
yes.
wait, because we again
Mm-hmm.
we have laws here, and
Mm-hmm.
so you
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that you understand it a little bit too. So the more that you understand, going back to that learning of how certain things can be made into a bill, or like if there's it needs to go through a certain committee or things
Right.
like, if you kind of do a little bit of research to understand, the process, then the waiting won't be as bad because you know what's coming next in the process that it needs to go to before it comes to the general public, right? Or before it becomes a ballot initiative. You'll understand that process. But on the other side of it, just like the other side of trust, I can see how we've put so many processes in place that it actually eliminates sometimes reacting effectively to a human need.
Yep. I see both sides of that. So number 7 is respect. Respect the democratic process. You just talked about this, Maisha. And its participants will go a long way toward a healthier civic sphere. Notably, this attitude will become much easier as these commitments become more widespread. So respecting the democratic process. How do you think most people feel about that at this point?
I don't know how most people feel about it, but I don't know if I can tell you how most people feel about the democratic process. I can't really speak for them, but I can understand when it's hard, as we just talked about with the wait, which the wait is a part of the democratic process. We know that we do have in theory, a really good democratic process here, in the United States. Designed, it's in theory, right?
Theory, yes.
If everybody was able to take advantage of the in theory, if that in theory served everybody, maybe it would be great practice. However, I do understand when you question it, because again, when it's systems over people, then you start to question that democratic process, and if that process is something that should be changed, or other things should be implemented to support the theory actually turning into reality in actual practice for everyone. So I know here we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll come back to the democratic process.
Yes, thank you. Come back.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, and family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetable, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Hey guys, it's Carly from Boyd Farm Outfitters. Farmers, the Nebraska Ag Expo is coming up on December 9th through 11th at the Sandhills Global Event Center, and we'd love to see you there. Our team will be in 2 places at once, in the Boyd Farm Outfitters booth and the Green Eye Technology booth, which are both in the Currency building. In the meantime, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X at BoydFO to see what we've been working on. Again, that's BOECKFO on social media. We look forward to seeing you at the Expo.
Staying profitable means finding smarter, more efficient ways to farm. Those decisions turn hard work into something worth passing down. Join us at the Sandhills Global Event Center in Lincoln for the Nebraska Ag Expo on December 9th through 11th, where agriculture meets innovation. From big iron and livestock production to the latest in ag tech and soil health, discover the solutions that can help you do more with less and protect your legacy for generations to come. Sponsored in part by Farm Credit Services of America and Ag Direct.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between, we'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
The top-ranked Nebraska volleyball team is trying to play its way to the Final Four in Kansas City. Make your plans now to cheer on the Huskers with a VIP travel experience from Sports Trip and the Nebraska Alumni Association. Travel round trip from Lincoln in a luxury motor coach with free parking, plus an overnight stay at the beautiful Hotel Indigo in Kansas City. See details and register at HuskerAlumniTrip.com. Hurry, spots are limited. Register now at HuskerAlumniTrip.com.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet GMC, the #1 fastest growing GMC dealer in the Omaha and Lincoln area. We are going to keep this train rolling in a big way with new half-ton and 4x4 pickup trucks starting at $12,500 off list price or 0% financing. You heard that right, $12,500 off list price or 0% financing. You pick which one works better for you. Please stop on in the dealership and meet the team or check us out at coppellcars.com. Stock number C280930. All deals with approved credit.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Back to the YWCA Hour. Here are your hosts, Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex.
Welcome back to the W with Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex of YWCA Lincoln. And when we left off, we were talking about the 10 civic commitments. Mm-hmm. And we were up to number 8. And number 8 is advocate. You do not need to be the next Rachel Carson, who was an environmental activist who wrote The Silent Spring, or Ralph Nader. And I do admit I'm of the age where I remember Ralph Nader and all his work as an activist who pressed for life-saving consumer protections to satisfy this requirement. But you do need to step up when you have 2 cents to offer on a relevant issue. Those 2 cents would combined with the contributions of others and integrated into the proper democratic process will be worth a nickel, even with inflation.
That's funny.
That's interesting.
You do. You should advocate, right? But I believe what he's getting at is advocate on your level. You don't have to.
That's key.
Yes, you don't. Please do not feel pressure to all of a sudden be standing in the middle of the street if that's not how you advocate, right? We're not saying to do that, because if a lot of people have different personalities, mm-hmm. and if that's not something that you are wanting to do, it's not even about comfortable, because I know we have to be uncomfortable, but if it's not a way that you feel like you would even make real change or impact by doing that you believe that, one of the ways that you can advocate is when I'm at my kitchen table and my children say something that they've heard somewhere else, that I can make sure that I am giving them the correct information on how you on that particular issue. That's you advocating, because it does start at the kitchen table. These little humans grow into big humans, and those big humans are take over, and now they are making laws and taking care of us and doing all those other things. And so establishing that at this young age is also a way for you to advocate. So you can start there if that's what you need to do. You could start not only at your kitchen table in your personal home, but you might want to start at grandma's kitchen table too.
Yes.
That might be another place where you're saying, actually, let's clear up some misinformation about this issue and let's talk about it. That might be where you're starting out. Or you might be the person that's like, actually, I want to make sure that I'm writing in a testimony. That's how I want to advocate. My local senator sent an email and said, to please connect with these other lawmakers that's trying to push a bill.
Right.
And so I'll just go ahead and just write a quick email saying I do or do not oppose. That might be a way that you advocate. Or you might be the person like, yeah, no, I am showing up in the street.
Right.
Exactly. And that is okay. Right. Peacefully. Right. And within and following laws. Right. Of getting the street shut down, if the things you got to do. But that might be you. And so go ahead and exercise your right to protest and to advocate in that way. There's so many ways that you can do that. You can just advocate by volunteering with an organization, right? Learning more about the issue. And so when you're in different circles, again, you can clear up misinformation. You can bring awareness to something. As Kevin stated, your 2 cents is very valuable. Yeah. It's extremely valuable.
And your 2 cents with the next 2 cents becomes a nickel.
Right. Right.
That's true. And even I think about it in this era of social media and getting all this digital information, there's a lot of misinformation that's coming out there. And when you do your research, going back to that learning and gaining that knowledge and understanding, what is rhetoric and then what is real and what is fact, figuring out what is the truth, and then making sure that your algorithm is not constantly feeding you all this misinformation because you're rejecting that misinformation. Mm-hmm. To me, that's even a sense of advocacy. Mm-hmm. Because you're saying, I'm not accepting all this misinformation. And I realize so much that the misinformation, when it comes to you, it looks appealing. It'll have a great tagline or subject line, or even in some of the officials themselves, they entertain you, but you need to make sure that you look deeper and get beyond that and get to the truth. Mm-hmm. For me, that's a sign of advocacy right there. Mm-hmm. That I'm not going to be so susceptible to all this misinformation.
Yeah. And there are many ways you sit down with yourself and figure out how you want to be an advocate and how you want to show up on the issues that you are passionate about and that you want to affect change. So that's really what I believe he's saying is it's up to you, but do something, whatever it is, but it is up to you. Again, no one's asking you to go out and you have to be the person to lead the charge if that's not your calling. Yes. But if it is your calling to be there and to support, you may not be the first person to hop in the street or to set up the protests outside of the Capitol, but you might be the person who just show up. And that's okay too, to just be like, but I will be there. Mm-hmm. So your voice, again, it's priceless. I know you said 2 cents, but it really does. It is priceless and it makes an impact.
Yeah, even with inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So that really just transitions right into number 9, represent. You may know folks or causes that do not have the time, resources, or attention to engage as fully in the democratic processes that they would like. You can and should try to represent their interests. This will lead to a more robust and representative discourse. And I think that's what we do so often as the YWCA. We know that we are the advocate so often, and we serve as the voice for those that we serve.
It is. I mean, and this is just modeling what your representatives do.
True.
Right? They're showing up as your voice in spaces where you're not able to participate in the process. Right? If they're voting on the floor, unfortunately, they can't invite all their constituents to also come up and vote. They are your vote. They are your voice.
Yeah.
And so that's their job to represent. But we can also do that on a certain level, right? That's why you join certain organizations.
Yes.
That's why you, with some learning, right, and
Right.
understanding
Yeah.
and permission, you can speak in spaces, in places where other people are not represented, to say, at least I don't think that's something that they would want in this space, or I don't know if this is reflective of everybody in the community because of these things that I've learned, because of the conversations that I have. They're not always available. They're all not always there. When you look around and we talk about like the makeup of like boards, we talk about the makeup of the hiring, your hiring committee, or who's sitting in places of power, you will not see a good makeup of everybody there, most likely, right? But you do have people who are informed, who have some sort of cultural competency and awareness that they can say we're missing some important pieces and some important voices, and they can speak and say, and this is why we're missing that. So they can be a representative there. But I also say, go beyond that a little bit. If you are in a place, we're not always in a place, in a space for that, right? Or we have so many people that we can call upon to support what your theory is about a community. But go beyond just the representation if you yourself is not of that community, and create the space to invite someone in. And so you can say, again, with education, this is what I believe is needed here to support this community. But what I know is that we'll get a better answer and a better understanding if we invite those people from that community to be a part of this. And so sometimes you do have to be the representative, and you as a representative is just saying, I don't think everybody's here. You can say that too. Because a lot of us I don't want to be the representative. I don't want to be the voice for a community that I am not a part of, and that I don't have that intimate knowledge or understanding of. But I can just say, hey, pause. I can say that we need to pause, and I believe that somebody's missing from this conversation that needs to be included.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very true. So we're now down to number 10. Number 10 is celebrate. It's really, really easy to knock our democracy for all of its faults. We've got to get into the practice of celebrating when it works. You can at once think that there is a lot of room for improvement and acknowledge that the system occasionally does work as intended. Our nation's founders anticipated and encouraged the population to share some basic rules for commitment and engagement. So that celebrate is important.
It is. I feel like that's something that we tell people to do on like all levels.
Right.
Is when something, goes right, when there's an achievement, that you do want to celebrate how the system is working to ensure that all those who are in need are served, right? And that justice is served, and that there's this reconciliation process, whatever it is, where our system is getting it right. I do believe we should celebrate because we do know that, like I said, we live in a country where, we have certain privileges, or we're supposed to have certain privileges that not everybody has access to in other countries. And so we are aware of that, and we do celebrate those privileges, and that we live, in a country where we can have this conversation, and we can have it out loud, and we can talk about what we agree with and what we do not agree with. And then there's also a process for us to make impact and change if we do not agree with something, that it's not one person stating that this is the law of the land and this is how it's supposed to be, and that is it. That we're judged by a jury of peers, that we're, all these great things that are, unique to this country. We do celebrate. And so I think that is a good one to celebrate what our democracy has to offer, the positive, in the space for us to make change where we feel like it's not working, that we have that option, and that is something to celebrate.
Yes. That brings me to this next point of Kevin Frazier. Now that we've heard the 10 commitments, we've come to accept that people may source their morals from a diverse set of options. Nevertheless, we do need to admit that a democracy without civic virtue is destined to come apart at the seams. Adherence to the 10 civic commitments identified above will serve as glue. and binding us to one another as well as to our democratic processes. So just exactly what you were saying, Maisha, having those kind of virtues in place, we know if we all exercise that we will move toward a democracy and a greater democracy.
We do. And, we have to look at, again, we're talking about being civically engaged while we celebrate what this democracy has to offer. We understand that it's not always offered to everyone.
Right.
And that for some people hearing this, it's not, it's almost like a sense of, will it really work, or does this work, or me being engaged, what is it actually going to do for me? Because I have been the recipient, or my community, we've been the recipient of, this democracy not playing out for us. And so we have to recognize and hold space for that different communities have different connections with, the democracy and society and systems in general. But as we talked about with the uniqueness of this country, that we do have a voice, and that we can share our voice, and that your voice is powerful, and in conjunction with other voices, it will and it can make change, and that in order to do that, some of these things we have to engage in order to make the change, so that we do see democracy play out for everyone.
Yes.
And so I love to hold space for that this isn't something that everybody's just like, okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to check it off and do it. It's going to be great. I'm going to do these 10 things. It's going to be amazing. It has played out differently for different people, in this society. And sometimes it's tiring, right, to want to engage. And in some of these, sometimes it feels like it's not really making an impact, but it is, because we know the plight of communities within this country and how far we've had to fight to come to again help people cash a check.
that big old check.
That check.
Okay. And now that we have brought that check up, that we still been trying to get cash for decades, we'll take a break and we'll be back.
Concrete Industries has immediate job openings for precast production laborers and maintenance technicians. Concrete Industries offers great pay, health benefits, 401k, a wellness program, holidays, and paid time off. Apply today to earn a starting pay of $21.50 per hour plus a $1,500 hiring bonus. Concrete Industries is hiring all experience levels and offers on-the-job training. Start your career today as a precast production laborer or maintenance technician. Visit concreteindustries.com.
Don't be fooled by the typical holiday ads this year. A new car for your significant other is a dream, but not a likely reality. Why not upgrade the current car you have with a detail? This year's hot item is a gift certificate from Nebraska Auto Detail to make your car look and smell fully refreshed again. We all have clutter and we all make messes, but it doesn't have to stay like that. Give the gift of a clean car this holiday. Buy your certificate at NebraskaAutoDetail.com or call 402-601-5086 for an appointment today.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Ready, set, forward. Just announced 0% for 66 months with approved credit on all 2025 Ford F-150s at Zollner, Fort Beatrice. Save thousands in finance charges. If your current pickup loan's 4, 5, 6% or more, trade in today and receive 0% for up to 66 months on a brand new 2025 Ford F-150 of your choice at Zollner, Fort Beatrice, Nebraska's volume dealer with the hometown service you expect.
At Raising Cane's, we focus on being the best at one thing and getting it right every time. Which is why every chicken finger meal we serve is marinated, hand-battered, cooked to order, and made just for you. Quality isn't complicated, and our menu is proof.
Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
Skip the line and order with our app or online.
This holiday season, bring home a tradition that tastes like celebration. Beatrice Bakery's world-famous fruitcake, baked in the heart of Nebraska with rich, golden batter, real cherries, pineapple, crunchy nuts, and a splash of old-fashioned goodness. It's moist, flavorful, and crafted the same way for generations. It's the fruitcake that turns skeptics into believers. Find Beatrice Bakery fruitcake online at grandmasbakeshop.com or at your favorite retailer, and make your holidays deliciously unforgettable with the help of Beatrice Bakery's world-famous fruitcake.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Bagels and Joe is the perfect place for breakfast or lunch in December. Try one of their delicious breakfast sandwiches or grilled breakfast burritos. Don't forget to snag a gift card for stocking stuffers and bring your family in from out of town. With 4 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Seward, Bagels and Joe.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Now through December 14th, enjoy USDA Choice 8-ounce New York strips, $6.99 each, 85% lean ground beef, $4.98 per pound, all natural boneless chicken breasts, $2.48 per pound, and holiday gift boxes are available for $50. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Hungry for something real? Come to HF Crave, Lincoln's favorite spot for burgers that are anything but basic. Locally sourced Nebraska beef, hand-cut fries, and bold flavors that'll make your taste buds cheer. Whether you're craving the classics or ready to try something wild, they've got the burger that gets you. HF Crave. Fresh, local, craveable. Find them at 48th and Holdridge or order online at hfcrave.com. For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Back to the YWCA Hour. Here are your hosts, Karen Baldancy and Maisha Essex.
Welcome back to the W with Karen and Maisha. When we left our last segment, we had just gone through all the 10 civic commitments. And I wanted to bring this all together because we've really been talking about what really builds true democracy and what does civil discourse mean. And I want to leave you with one of the quotes that resonates with me so much, and I'm sure with others. And this was a quote from our great Congressman, John Lewis. John Lewis's famous quote, "Get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America." This was a call to action for nonviolent civil disobedience to create positive change. It's often used to encourage participation in protests and the democratic process like voting. John Lewis explained that this meant finding a way to get in the way when something isn't right. It has inspired so many people in our democracy to push for justice and equality. This quote was relevant when he first spoke it. It's still relevant today. A good way to get started is by utilizing that 10 civic commitments. I'm just saying, get into good trouble.
Exactly. Get into some good trouble. So we are, as we wrap up this podcast, we know that it is that time of year where a lot of people are thinking about how they want to make an impact in looking at the year, looking over the year to figure out, how they will leave this year, how they would want to engage. And around this time, we have a lot of people that are giving to different organizations as a way to end out the year and to make sure that they are creating some sort of change
Right.
around this time. And as the YWCA Lincoln, we would like to encourage you to, if you are giving this time of the year, to look at donating to the YWCA. We serve a lot of women and girls within our community, but we also serve our community in a way to make sure that it's belonging, that it's welcoming, for all that visit us and decide to live with us. And so we want to make sure that we continue to do that. We've been around for 139 years, and we want to be around for another 139 years. And so we can't do that without the support of you all as the community. So if it's in your heart and you would like to give to the YWCA, please visit our website, ywcalincoln.org. Click that donate button. We will be forever grateful. Understand that your donation does directly impact the services and the resources that we are giving, and it makes a change within this community.
Right, exactly. And we are so forever grateful for all those that support, all of you that have listened to our podcast, have commented on our show. The civic discourse will continue as you plan for what you will do for 2026. As Maisha said, keep YWCA Lincoln up there.
Have a great holiday season and Happy New Year.
Next year. Happy New Year.